Please welcome Eddie Pamakala, past coach of Bishop's men's basketball and former Dawson Blues player.
I was told before dinner that I was going to be presenting Varouj, so I have absolutely no notes. But I tell stories, and I would like to tell you a story. You know, we're here. By the way, before I begin, Brian, I can't tell you how proud I am of you and of your speech, and that's something that I'm going to keep with me forever. Your parents are very lucky people. Congratulations about that. We're here, we're bound by one thing, sport. And sport is about education. And what does education do? It develops leaders. Sports does not build character. Sports reveals character. And I want to tell you a story about leadership. The year was 1975, and it was the year that the Dawson College Blues won their first national championship. We were coached by the legendary Richie Spears, in my estimation, the greatest basketball coach who coached in Quebec and was brought up by the CCAA. Just amazing. And we practiced every single day. I mean, there was no rules. We just practiced every day. And for some of us, it was a great way to stay out of jail. Now, especially the boys, you know, the old showmart, and but we practiced every single day. And we were taught excellence. We were told that this will be the most important class you go to. And Richie was right. So we come to December the 31st, and most of you know where you were that day, that year. You were in front of your TV sets. It was the Canada-Russia at the Montreal Forum. It was the big game. And Richie Spears came to us and he said, guys, it's New Year's Eve, no practice. It was a shock. So we're in the dressing room, we're like high-fiving each other. We were the first ones to ever do that. And like, we're not going to practice. And we were invited by the girls' team to go to a party that night. So we were like really psyched. And Varouj comes into the dressing room. He says, no, guys, we're practicing. We said, Varouj, coach said we're not. He says, guys, we're practicing. And then we're going to the party. Now, so we come, you know, and I figure, what's it going to be? You know, the captain is running the practice, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to scrimmage. We're going to go up and down. We're going to scrimmage. That practice was as scripted as a practice could be. It started the same way we started all the time, with Dawson layups. Then we went into 3-on-2, 2-on-1 fast break series. Then we went to guard the dribbler that we did every day. And then we did breakdown drills. We did this, supervised by the captain. Leadership. And then at the end of practice, when you figure, well, we scrimmaged, we worked hard, he says, no, get on the line. We ran what they called suicides. And we ran them. Now, can you imagine how good that team had to be, how everybody bought in, because the coach wasn't there, but the captain, the leader, had the respect of everybody. That's what sports reveals. That's the lesson we learn from sports. Now, I can tell you a lot of things about Varouj, because I mean, growing up in Montreal, and it's amazing, I have to say, Olga, you know, Olga basketball took you and myself on a hell of a ride, two people from Rosemount, from the same community. It's amazing the kind of ride. Now, it took you on a better ride than me, and you got a lot more bling and gold and everything else, but it's amazing. But so, of course, I've lost my train of thought. I was talking to you about sports, what it does. And Varouj was one of the greatest high school players. of all time. I mean, as a 13-year-old or 14-year-old, I remember reading, he's a couple years older than me, I remember reading him scoring 73 points in a game for high school in Montreal. That's before the three-point line. That's in a 32-minute game. I mean, it was amazing. And then I got to play with him at Dawson College. And then I got to be his roommate at St. FX University for a year, where Varouj was one of the greatest CJEP players of all time. It must be so hard for him today as a referee to be refereeing. Seriously, it must be so hard because the kids that are giving him grief have no idea he's like 10 times better than they could ever possibly want to be, you know? So yes, he was all Canadian. Yes, he scored 32 points in the semifinals to take us to the final game. And yes, he was MVP of the tournament, which at that time was equivalent to MVP of the country, which he was. And then he went on to St. FX, where he was a four-time AUS All-Star. He was an All-Canadian. 1980, starter on the Canadian national team. He'd done it all. And it's amazing thing is, I'm sitting with the referees from Quebec, and they're an amazing group. Those guys are brothers. They're brothers. They're a family. See, I have to, it's good that I'm sitting with them because I have to remind them. I said, guys, Varouj didn't get into this because he refereed, okay? It was because he was a great player, okay? So you guys have to understand that, all right? So you have to let them know things like that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to present to you my Dawson brother, Varouj Gurunlian.
I have to start with wow. No, I did not pay him to say that. How can you follow that? I don't have a paper. I didn't prepare one, although I knew I would be up here. But the CCAA told me to keep it 5 minutes. I wasn't going to listen. But a higher authority told me to keep it 5 minutes, my wife. So there's a lot I want to tell you, but I will tell you just a little bit. First, congratulations to all the inductees. I'm honored to be in the same class as you. Thank you to CCAA for organizing such an event. After a lot of work that you've put in, I'm sure that there are a lot of people working in the background, all those emails we received back and forth. We do appreciate your effort. It has been a long time coming, like Olga said, and there are a lot of people to thank. I will thank some of them. I don't want this to be the Academy Awards where the music comes on and then Dave pulls me off. But quickly, so that we have a little feeling of the CCAA and what it meant to us. Like Eddie said, we came out of high school, just young boys, had no clue about anything. We did not have cable. We did not watch any games. And if we found an NBA game, we just ran and watched it somewhere. So in other words, we had no clue. We just played. We were just boys. And we ended up at Dawson College, where we learned a great deal. We learned a great deal, both in the classroom, but more importantly, like he said, our classroom was the gym. There are a lot of stories I can share, but it didn't matter what happened. You had to be at practice. It didn't matter if somebody died, sorry to say, but you had to be at practice. So we learned a great deal, and the most important things, obviously, we learned, besides loyalty, hard work, and dedication, was to get along with other people, because this was a team effort. And everybody learned to get along, and of course, we put together a successful program, and second to none. And the person responsible for that was already mentioned, was Coach Richie Spears. So we all of us owe a great debt to him in Quebec for basketball, for he was the father of basketball in Quebec. Dawson College, like I said, we were supreme at the time, and we learned a great deal. But more importantly, we all became friends. And as you can see now, a lot of people are here from that era, and I'm very happy to see everybody, some of which I haven't seen for a long time. And now I just want to make sure that we thank some people in that respect. Firstly, John Davidson, who actually hired me as a coach 10 years after I finished playing there, and he gave me the chance to coach that team, and all the players that played there, of course, were successful, and we thank John for putting up with that. John will be honored himself, so some words will be said, but very quickly. While I was there, John was everywhere, doing every sport. He spent 16 hours a day there just doing everything he did, which was crazy. So thank you, John. To all my friends over there, I'm deeply honored, and I'm not somebody who is emotional. I don't get emotional. I don't really cry. But these people who all came out really touched my heart, and I have to mention them. My brothers in arms over there who are now officials, starting with Pierre Marion, Alf Paoletti, Max Odette, Mike Holmesy. Thank you for coming. You guys definitely made me feel proud. And there are a lot of other friends, of course. Chris Hunter, his wife Linda McPherson. We go back not that long because we're young. We played against each other and together on the Quebec team. Thanks for being here, even if you're not here for me, Chris. It's okay. But we want to make sure that people know you're here. And Joe Terrell, right here, also went to high school with me, so he's one of my oldest buddies. We've been through high school together, Dawson College, and then beyond. Of course, I'm still friends with him, and I see him all the time. He's somebody who knows me a very long time as well. Thanks, Joe. Julia, of course. And of course, the table over there, that's my family, starting with my son, a champion in his own right. If you got, Chris is also a basketball official, but more importantly, is a professional trainer. So if you need to get in shape, get his card. His lovely fiancée, Julia, my daughters, Lisa and Christine, and of course, my lovely little one, my wife, Sylvia. We call her the little one because she's not very tall. And my longtime life friends also over there, Garo and Annie Krelian, also made the special effort to be here today, and I thank them for being here. Lastly, a very quick, I have many stories, but I'm not going to keep you. A very quick story. We've been around the world, most of us, athletes and coaches, and we hear a lot of positive remarks from a lot of people, but I just wanted to share a couple with you right now. And I share this. I would have shared this, by the way, whether this person was here or not. I was going to do this because of all the compliments I've heard throughout the years, and we've all heard many about ourselves, I'm sure. These ones actually stood out. And ironically, it came from a very close friend and a teammate. And that's Eddie Paul McCalla. Special thank you to Eddie Paul McCalla. He's like an agent. But the greatest compliments came from Eddie. One of them was when he was coaching Bishop's University early in his career, and we were playing in a tournament in Montreal, a senior tournament. I had just finished playing with Team Canada, and we played with a bunch of senior guys in the tournament just for fun, and Eddie was coaching, and we played against Eddie's team, Bishop's University. And after a short while, or I don't remember to be honest, it was in the first half or so, Eddie takes the time out, and then he speaks to his players because we were winning. And Eddie told me this a while after the game, of course. And then one of his players says, "Gee, coach, that guy is really hot. he's making every shot. And Eddie, of course, turns around and he said, no, that's the way he shoots all the time. I told you that. Get in his face. So I thought this was one of the best compliments I heard from a friend and a teammate. And the other one is something that's ongoing, I think, by Eddie. And his comments were that this people just don't know how good Varouj really was. And I'm going to make sure that they do. So for that, thank you very much, Eddie. And lastly, I do accept this honor. It is definitely one of the highest awards I can get. Of course, we've all gotten a lot of awards, but this one is unique. I sincerely appreciate receiving this award, but I do have to share it with all my teammates because nobody does this alone. This is an individual honor indeed, but we do play a team sports, and that's why we chose it. And all the players who played with me throughout the years deserve a part of this award. So I accept this on their behalf as well. Thank you.